Fantasy Golf Degenerates podcast bringing you this week's US Open, baby, at Shinnecock Hills. We've got course preview, we've got bets, we've got DFS picks, we've got everything in between. Brought to you by DraftKings. As always, use code FGD when signing up as a first-time depositor. We'd really appreciate that from you. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Let us know who's going to win this week. First person to guess the correct name gets a free month in the Model Maniac Patreon in the comments below. As always, I'm joined here by everybody's favorite Korean, the man of the moment, in the couch, king of the couch, Kenny Kim. What's cooking, my brother?
Byron, what's up, man? We're looking forward to this week. It's a beautiful course, one of the most famous courses in the world. It's going to play hard. We're going to see carnage. This is what we want. It's going to be a fun week.
Carnage. And we are not just going to be just tapping it in this week. Maybe just tapping it in for bogeys, maybe doubles. It's going to be a grind. We love grinding on this podcast, and we're going to give you the grinders, the guys that you can be the pathfinders for us this week. It's going to be a great week. We're going to be sharing some models. We're going to be sharing our bets. Kenny, last week was the RBC Canadian Open. How did you have yourself a week last week?
Yeah, Bud Colley, big win, right? Great story for Bud with that car accident about 8 years ago where he thought he might not ever play golf again, right? Broke his leg, broke like 5 ribs, punctured his lung. Didn't play golf for about 3 years. Because of this injury, because of that accident. He came back. He's been playing good golf this season. We've seen it. I played a bunch of them in DFS. Didn't really help. Not the best week in DFS, of course. Cash looked like it was going to do well. But of course, Koepka withdrew. The thing is, if you did, I gave you options for my last 2 guys last week. And it was I used Baushu and Ekro, and that did not end very well because Ekro shot like 17 over the last 2 days, and Baushu missed the cut. So I had 5 or 6 going in, but I was still looking good. But then, of course, the Koepka withdrawal screwed me for the final round, and I just missed cashing. I was right on the edge of basically all the cash line double-ups. But if you did, I also put out Bud Colley and Luke Clanton together. If you didn't like Baushu and Ekro, if you went that route, you had a winning week. So hopefully some of you went in that direction. Even with the Koepka withdrawal, you still would have cashed. You still would have won. Yeah. I wish I went that route, but I did not. But the event was fun. The course, it's not a pushover. Definitely has some teeth. TPC Toronto. I know people were worried about how easy it was going to play, for the first couple of years. And 18 under being the winning score both years. And, of course, second place was like 15 or 16. It's definitely not the easiest course out there, especially with the wind blowing like it did this past week. I mean, we saw some guys up there. For me, it was a good betting week, at least. I had Jesper Svensson 110 to 1 with 8 places. He got me a full place at 22 to 1. And then also Jackson Suber 160 to 1 with 8 places. So he got me a 32 to 1 full place. So it was a profitable week, almost 5 units won for the week. And I've actually been profitable 3 straight weeks in a row with 4 each way hits, 2 at Colonial, 2 this past week, and the first round leader for Wyndham Clark at Memorial. So we've had 3 winning weeks, solid. When it comes to the other guys who played well, Fitzy looks like he's coming back. Had a few poor starts, but looked really strong. Victor Hovland out there doing his thing. Still lost, I think, 2 strokes with his short game, but still was able to do his thing. And then you had like Stanger, Garnett, Svensson, Super, Pockheater, Fox. I put a live bet on Fox of 45 to 1. After his eagle, he was only a couple back. But, of course, what Bud did on the back 9 was extremely impressive. Again, sort of in that Wyndham Clark vein that we've seen, where he was just constantly going for it and hitting the shots that he needed to hit. Really, really impressive stuff by him. Fun tournament, but I'm ready for the U.S. Open.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. I had Wyndham Clark who had a chance to maybe win the tournament after shooting another 63. Decides, because of his reputation, is actually a funny guy on the rink hole on Saturday, rocks the Hughes jersey from USA, and gets the Canadians all riled up. That spilled over into Sunday. And as a result of that, he's trying to just hit his wedge into 18 to make birdie, do top 5 for me. And the crowd's heckling him. People are on his ass. They do not like him in Canada. And he's trying to just get up and down from the bunker. And they're continuing to just give him a hard time. Poor Wyndham Clark. So, I guess you do have to factor into the crowd when betting on guys like that, if they're going to be hated by the Canadians or not. So
one thing I'll say about Wyndham Clark, he is slowly rising the ranks of my favorite players list. I know he has a bad rap. I know he could be a dick. I know he broke all that shit at the clubhouse. I know there's cheating allegations and stuff with him, improving his lie by stepping around the balls and stuff like that. But man, the guy could play a really good villain. And I think he, you saw he used that a little bit, on Saturday, where he bought a Jack Hughes jersey, a United States hockey player jersey. Of course, the United States beat Canada in the Olympics a few months ago. And he bought it off some fan so he could wear it on the rink call so he could get booed. And then he goes out there and hits it about 6 feet and makes the birdie. What I want to see is the all-villain pairing for the Ryder Cup. Give me a Patrick Reed, Wyndham Clark pairing in, I forget where they're playing, somewhere in Europe. Somewhere in Europe. I want that pairing. I want the villain pairing. I think those two could feed off each other. I think it would be incredible. I really like the way Wyndham Clark plays when he has a lead. It didn't work yesterday, but the thing about it is he wasn't laying back, right? He was going for it, man. That's why he flew the green, right? He was trying to land that thing on the top shelf so he can go ahead and have a birdie putt on the 18 to see what happens. I like when the thing about him is he's streaky, right? You got to get him on the right streak. He's not the most consistent golfer out there, but when he's hot, man, you really got to pay attention to him.
Yeah, that's the thing. And I wrote about, like, if there's anyone in contention, I want it to be Wyndham Clark. And then he goes out and gets to like T14, T20, playing in the final group on Sunday at one point, like, what are we doing, bro? But it is what it is. This is variance. Golf is hard to bet on because if you time it up right, you can get on the guy at the right time and you run off into the distance like Cam Young betters. If you've been a Cam Young truther since the beginning, things are different. You're still licking some wounds, things like that. So I'm a Russell Henley guy that managed to find a Russell Henley unicorn. It's difficult to find these guys. So speaking of difficult, Kenny, like, Phil Mickelson's having a bit of a tough time right now. Go ahead and fill the people in on what happened in his life recently on the socials.
Yeah, so I guess if you guys haven't heard the news, Phil was accused of inappropriate contact with a cart girl at a club. And there's a couple of ways to look at this. It's tough to say this, especially in this day and time, but there's been enough instances of this where a lot of the times I need more proof. I don't know how to say this politically correctly, but sometimes women lie. And they've been caught, in these lies, trying to, tear down a man, especially men with some fame. But what I've heard from this is that the cart girl actually reported this right after it happened. And Phil went out and played his round at this course private club in San Diego. And they drove out to him while he was playing and confronted him about it, talked to him about it, and at that very moment kicked him out of the club. Because of this, it makes it easier, it makes it so, I mean, here's the thing, like a prestigious club, they want members like Phil. It gives their club a boost, right? To to boot him out right away. I mean, to me, it feels like where there's smoke, there has to be fire.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, for them to kick him out the way that he did immediately, I would say there has to have been some type of witnesses or something. Is what I believe to actually have him kicked out. And of course, he denies everything. He says the lawyer says there's video proof. Again, the police went and asked for video, and no one gave up any video. So I don't know where this video proof is, but it's not looking good for Phil. Really, the downfall of Phil Mickelson, like after that PGA Championship, he could have wrote his ticket to be anything. He probably should be in the booth right now. We should be hearing him every week talking about golf on CBS, on NBC, on somewhere. And I think his reputation is taking a humongous fall. I hope this is not true. And again, I'm going to wait to have my final opinion on this until we hear something more solid. But it's not looking good, and it's a shame, and it's sad because of what Phil has done for the game and how adored he was as a person and as a golfer. And it's just sad to me. It's a shame.
It sucks, man. It sucks. It's also obviously not endorsed. Yeah. Like if you're doing that kind of stuff, it's not okay, my friend. Like no matter who you are. And just like you mentioned, how it went down seems fishy. It seems weird. So it's one of those situations where, like you said, where there's smoke, there's fire. But speaking of fire, Kenny Kim, we can be expecting some fire to come at Shinnecock Hills this week. We got some spicy weather on Thursday. The wind is blowing. Reports on the ground have players saying that if the wind blows like it is today, which is softer than what we expect on Thursday, hole 11's green is unplayable. Per PGA Tour player will be playing this week.
Well, here's the thing about Shinnecock and the way they set up the course. It's all about the wind. Okay? They know it's going to be windy. And so they set up the course based upon the wind. And so if you look back at 2018 when, Phil hit the putt and it was going to roll off the green and he hit it back, and then Zach Johnson, of course, said that they lost control of the course. The main reason for that on Saturday was because the wind shifted. So they they set up the course thinking that the wind was going to be in a certain direction, and it actually was the opposite. So it made some of the holes literally impossible to play. So you're talking about hole 11. So, and how they can't keep the ball on the green. Now, what I would think the possibility for that is what they're going to do is if the wind is in the face, then I think, on that hole and it's expected to be into the golfer's face, that should make the hole a little bit easier to hold onto the greens, right? And so I think they will play, a tee box that's pretty far back, right? To have a mid to long iron or something into that hole, right? And hopefully they will be able to stop it because of the wind. Get the ball flight up enough, land it softly enough. Now, if the wind's at their backs, my guess would be that they choose a closer tee box, right? They choose a closer tee box so they can get it out there into wedge range. For their approach shot, so they can get a little bit more spin onto it and try and hold the green. Now, here's the thing. If the wind is reversed, right, and the wind is in the face and they do this type of setup, then all bets are off. Everything changes. So that's what happened in 2018, and that's why the course played the way it did. There was some crazy shit that happened in 2018 that I'm not sure that everyone's aware of. And I'll go over all of that in my course preview. Anything you want to add before I go over what to expect at Shinnecock?
No, I'm just excited because it's a crazy land. It's awesome.
What happened in 2018 was fucking insane.
Yeah.
And it's not going to happen again. Let's get into it. Let's talk about the course. The third major of the year is upon us as golfers from all over the world head to Shinnecock Hills Golf Club in Tuckahoe, New York for the U.S. Open. The field consists of 156 golfers, and the cut line is top 60 in ties. This tournament has the highest percentage of players missing the cut all year on average for an event that you have. So for DFS purposes, it's very, very tough. Right, the weather could play a major factor at Shinnecock as high winds and few trees could lead to a stern test for all golfers in the field. It looks like the wind will be steady and strong all day Thursday, and on Friday, the winds could be light in the morning and strong again in the afternoon. This could give golfers in the PM/AM wave a distinct advantage. Now, we all know how forecasts can change at the drop of a hat. So make sure to check the weather Wednesday evening to see if any edge will be had. Very, very important to do this week. I mean, we're going to go over who we like in DFS. We're going to go over who we're betting this week, but changes can be made if we see some type of weather advantage for this week. And strategy when it comes to wave advantages for DFS purposes, okay? If you're mass multi-entering, I know Tambo would always do this. If you're doing like 150 lineups, maybe do 100, maybe do like 75 without worrying about the weather. Maybe do 50 strictly on whatever wave advantage you see. And maybe do like 25 on the opposite wave advantage, because you honestly do not know when it comes to these wave advantages. And if the wave advantage is going to be large enough, at least what we see on Wednesday, that means the people on the wrong side of the wave advantage are going to be much lower owned, right? And if the wave advantage is wrong, which happens probably more often than the wave advantage being correct, right? You want to have those other guys in your lineup. And so I think that's a good way when you're mass multi-entering to go about, making lineup adjustments. Now, if you're, a small-time guy, you only do one or two lineups, I mean, you sort of got to stick with the wave advantage, right? If it's going to be that visible, right? So it's tough because, you're only, like me, I'm only going to do 5 or 6 lineups this week. So it's tough to really gauge in on a wave advantage and try and make it that way, especially if you like golfers a lot before you look at the weather Wednesday night. But you have to have discipline. You have to be able to make changes. You have to be able to make adjustments, right? I have a hard time with that, right? When I like who I like sticking with them, and that's sort of like a focal point of what I do nowadays when it comes to DFS. You sort of got to throw that out the window, right? And really be able to open your mind for adjustments, open your mind to keeping players off your roster that you really liked, especially if there is going to be a pointed wave advantage, at least possible, because, again, we don't know until, the first tee shot, until probably the last tee shot on Friday, right? It's when we'll really figure out if there was a wave advantage or not. So that's just some way to go about how to go about the wave advantages. Now, let's get back to the course. They played this course in 2018. Prior to that, there was a huge renovation in like 2013. And we'll talk about that. This is the 6th time Shinnecock has hosted the U.S. Open. The last time being 2018, with Brooks Koepka taking home the trophy. Significant changes had been made to the course prior to the 2018 U.S. Open. Nearly all trees were removed from the course, which made the wind more of a factor. Also, back in 2004, the fairways averaged 29 yards in width, and both the fairways and rough were overseeded with ryegrass, which took some of the fire out of the fairways and made the rough very thick and extremely hard to play out. This year, the fairways have been widened to an average width of around 44 yards. There is only one fairway with a fairway width under 30 yards at this course. There are holes that have 60-yard widths off the of the fairway. They also made the fairways and rough pure fescue. Fescue grass is the firmest and fastest type of grass for fairways in this climate, and the rough won't be as thick as it was in back in 2004, right? Though by no means will be playing out of the rough be easy. The greens have been enlarged since 2004 again, but again, that does not mean hitting the greens will be a ton easier. The enlarging of the greens actually added more difficult pin locations for the USGA to use back in 2018. The thick rough we saw around the greens in 2004 is gone, and the USGA decided to mow the area around the greens down, which will lead to tough chips, but give golfers more options on how to play around the greens. You can go up, you can bump and run, you can hit it into the hill. Lots of different options now. Doesn't mean it's easier. Just means there's more options, right? Lastly, the course added nearly 500 yards in length from 2004 to 2018. Same length as 2018 this year. It's now, a pretty long par 70. Like back in 2018, it was the longest par 70 at a major championship ever. I think there's been a few courses that have, jumped that, but it's still going to be a pretty long course. Now, the course changes look to give bombers more of an advantage, but, that wasn't necessarily the case looking at the leaderboard in 2018. Yeah, Brooks can hit it far, but what Brooks did was he clubbed down almost every hole. I don't even know how many drivers he used throughout the event. You also saw shorter hitters out there, plenty of them in the top 10 of the leaderboard. Also, the larger greens gave shorter hitters a bit more flexibility with their approach shots, though they'll have to still hit it in the correct spots to hold the green. All right, so let's get to the main meat of the course. Shinnecock Hills is a 7,400 plus yard par 70, 4 par 3s, 2 par 5s. The par 5 fifth hole reachable in 2 by most in the field, and it needs to be taken advantage of, as I expect it to be one of the easiest holes on the course. The par 5 16th is a monstrous hole that plays into the wind normally. And par will be a good score on that hole. Outside of the 250 plus yard second hole, the par 3s aren't crazy long, but they are hard. Like the 250 yard par 3, probably the easiest out of the 4
per yard. Yes, yeah, per yard.
Definitely not the hardest. You're right. The 189 yard par 7th hole will probably be one of the most difficult holes on the course. Now it didn't play as difficult as it did in 2004. In 2018, it didn't play as difficult as it did in 2004 when golfers were aiming for the bunker. They were trying to hit it into the bunker, as most golfers thought that was the best chance to make par. Right? It's not going to be like that, but it's still going to be a brute due to how firm the green is. I saw Koepka hit a short iron, I think a pitching wedge or something, onto this hole back in 2018. It landed 2 feet from the hole. Hole was like mid-short, like mid-front, right? It took one huge hop and roll off of me. Now, the wind was definitely on his back in that situation, but that tells you how hard that hole was. Shot shape is going to be a huge key this week. As right-handers who hit a draw will have a very tough time holding greens like 8 or like 7, right? A fade is needed, really, to be able to hold some of these with that soft, less spin, softer bounce you get with a fade. That's another great aspect of this course. Shot shape in the greens will be more important than almost all the tournaments that we've seen this year, right? The seventh hole is going to play now. Hold on. It's a great now. Shot shape in the greens will be more important than tourneys you watch all year. Like guys like Rory, guys like Fitz, guys like, even Reed has picked up that chicken wing cut, right? In the last few years, guys who could shape it both ways, right? That's going to be important this week, especially with the iron play. Do you have any models that show golfers that can really show that they can play it both ways? Do you have anything like that? I've been looking. It's hard. You just got to know, right?
That's the thing, is because they can hit it when they need to. The production, the volume of it's not going to be there. They only do it when they have to. They can do it when they need to.
Yeah, but like the Rorys, the Scotties, the Hatton can do it. Reed can do it, right? Morikawa can do it. I'm trying to think. Oberg is, hits it. You can do it, right?
Mm-hmm. Rom plays the fade, but he can hit a draw when he needs to. Yeah,
he can. And the thing is, the cut. Here's the thing: guys who hit majority fades or draws, it's going to be tough if they don't have the cut in their repertoire, right? It's going to be tough if they don't have the cut in their repertoire, and that's why I'm really glad. I like Reed a lot this week, and that chicken wing Arnie, fade that he does now. He sort of got that down. It doesn't look pretty, the swing, because honestly, it's like he's got the chicken wing going on that, but he can do it, right? So you got to pay attention to that. Now let's talk about the unfairness that we saw. The seventh hole, it was so ridiculously unfair because, in 2018, because if on Sunday, because everyone bitched about it on Saturday. And what the USGA did was, if a group had a double or worse on Sunday, they would water the greens for the group behind them. How is that helping the people that just got a double or triple? Yeah. Right? That was some of the most unfair shit I've ever seen on a major golf tournament in my life. Right? That is not something we're going to see here at this course. Now, the par fours, there's seven of the par fours range from 450 to 500 yards. 4 of the par fours range from 399 to 450 yards. The par four first hole is 399 yards, but there's going to be some people who are going to try to get it as close as possible to that green. Now, off the tee, golfers are going to see mostly wide fairways that are firm and will have a good amount of roll. There is about a 5-foot collar around the fairways before the long fescue rough comes into play. The rough is long, but it's not impossible to play out of, especially with a short iron. Now, a lot of people are going to club down here, right? They saw what Brooks Koepka did in 2018. They saw how important, hitting it into the right spots are. And I'll talk about that a little bit more. But there's going to be people out there that are going to try. And here's the thing, and I'm going to talk about this later. A comp course to this could be Pinehurst number 2. And when you think of Pinehurst number 2, who do you think of? We'll get to that in a little bit. We'll get to that here in a little bit. Now, there are plenty of fairway bunkers and native sandy areas in play if golfers miss off the tee. Another aspect that makes this golf course difficult is that golfers will need to hit certain spots, many of the fairways, to have a good angle to the pin. We see this quite often on tour, especially on Pete Dye courses. But those courses are always a lot shorter than Shinnecock, and driver is definitely left in the bag. You can actually hit the fairway on some holes here and be dead. I'm not even joking. You could be dead after hitting it into the fairway. An example of this comes on the par 4 8th hole. Okay? Hitting the left side of the fairway brings more trouble in the play off the tee, but leaves you with a wide open approach that leaves some room for error because of the angle you have. If golfers hit it on the safer right side of the fairway, they are left with a semi-blind approach over a greenside bunker onto a firm elevated green. Basically, they have zero room for error. Zero room for error, right? This hole also shows the possible advantage, if people want to be aggressive, that a bomber can have, as he can hit it over the trouble on the right side of the fairway and have a lob wedge onto the green, even from the rough, which will be easier to hold no matter which side of the fairway they land. Now, if he hits it on the fairway, it's definitely going to be a lot easier. If he hits it on the rough, it's still going to be extremely difficult with a short iron. But you're going to have a lob or a sand wedge in your hand, right? So if you have the strength to hit it through that rough, you can still make it. You can still be playable there, all right? Now, on approach shots, golfers are going to see greens that are above average in size, with a good amount of slope and subtle undulations. The greens should be very firm. I don't think we see higher than like a 40% chance of rain for the rest of the week, right? So they are going to be able to make these greens as firm and as crispy as they absolutely want. Most of the greens slope from back to front, so hitting over the greens are going to lead to very difficult and very fast chips. The greens have shaved edges, so approaches that land on the edge of the greens are more than likely roll off into a bunker or into a collection area. Because they mowed down the areas around the greens, golfers will have an array of options in getting it up and down, from using a putter, we can go Texas wedge, to a bump and run, and even a higher lofted wedge shot. The grass in the greens is primarily Poana, with a bit of bank grass blended in, and will play around 12.5 on the stimp. Again, this course is very difficult. How difficult? In the 5 U.S. Opens played here, I think only 4 players have shot even par better. That's like 500 golfers, right?
Yeah.
And there's only been like 4, maybe 5 golfers, like 1%. Less than 1% of golfers that have played this course have shot even par or better for the entire tournament. Byron, what are you looking for? Give me some boxes. Tell me what the deal is, brother.
Kenny, thank you for telling us the story. Thank you for telling us what we can expect this week, because it's going to be carnage. I'll just start with what I'm showing on the screen. We're going to be bouncing around because, again, I spent some time kind of dissecting the course. It's a course that we have to project, because we have only seen it once, and it was almost 10 years ago. So I've essentially taken a look at some Google Earth, figured out off the micro model how long of a drive each hole is going to be, kind of thing, what you can expect on approach yardages from that range. Over here on the right-hand side, you can see Scotty Scheffler is expected to hit about 3 shots from 50 to 100 yards, 3 shots from 100 to 150, 8 shots from 150 to 200, and 5 shots from 200 plus. These are projections. You never know how firm the fairways are, where the wind's blowing from, blah, blah, blah. But it gives you a general idea of a very mid-iron intensive venue this week. No matter where you kind of take a look, if you take a look at average drivers of the golf ball, they're going to have 7 shots from 150 to 200. Long drivers are going to have also 7 shots, slightly more wedges, but slightly less long irons than the average drivers, So there's a different way this golf course plays, but you're going to see shots throughout the bag. There's no, typically you see 2-2, 7-7 type situation here. I don't know if that math even makes sense, but to get to 18, you're seeing a lot more mid irons and long irons on these major venues. This golf course provides you with a variety of iron shots coming into the greens. Then I want to take a look at what happened here in 2018. I ran some correlations and all of that stuff. By the way, I have two models going on. I have a model that's using major data and a model that's using just normal data that I've accumulated from 2026 as guys play each tournament. So we'll be getting to that here shortly. But in the model over here, you can find the last time they played at Shinnecock. And here are the correlations that you can see how they relate to strokes gained total. Putting is typically not nearly, it's probably around 57, 60%. Usually around the green play is significantly less. Around the green play typically finds itself around 30%, 25% correlation. It was significantly more this week because green in regulation rates were a casual 53% last time they played at this golf course. And it's going to be windy. It's going to be blowing. It's going to be difficult. So making sure you hit greens in regulation is essential. As you can see, a 70% correlation there with just GIR. It's almost the exact same as approach play. Having your ball on the green was critical because otherwise you have to hit a chip shot from diabolical spots on the green or around the greens. And when you are chipping half the time after hitting approach shots, that is way more than tour average. So you're going to be just chipping more. And the difficulty of the chip shots at this golf course are going to really expose people. They are going to be tight, dusty, crisp lies that require perfect contact, perfect technique, perfect execution to leave yourself a 6-footer. There's going to be guys that hit mediocre chips that run out to 15, 20 feet, run off this other side of the green. Chipping can let you down in a big way this week. So you're going to see a lot of it. And as you can see, if we just filter by the score, there was Brooks and Tommy Fleetwood, both kind of struggled around the greens, but they hit a ton of them. And, they just did their thing. Everybody else was pretty damn solid coming on the around the green side of things over there because they had to. You can see all the short hitters are typically good around the green, good short gamers, chipping and putting, that kind of thing. When
Byron,
Kenny meant, what's up?
I got a question for you. Am I wrong to think that, how usually it's approach, driver, short game? That's usually the way, the importance of everything in typical events. Am I wrong to think that it's going backwards this week, where around the green and on the green could be more important than anything else, and then approach and then off the tee? Because that's how my mind is working this week, where that's how important I think short game is. Like you were talking about, 53% green in regulation means you're chipping half the time. And then you throw in the fact with 20 to 30 mile per hour winds the first 2 days. I don't think it was quite that windy in 2018. So it's going to be even windier. So, that green and regulation percentage could be sub 50% this week for the field.
Yeah.
And so because of that, am I wrong to think that way?
No. The correlations speak for themselves. Like the accuracy was off the tee. Accuracy is more important than distance at this golf course, being in the fairway. So that's already a different concept to what we typically see at a typical US Open, where you're just mashing driver as far as you can. You have the strength to get it out of the thick rough and get it on or to the green to make your fall. This week, everyone's got a really good opportunity to hit the fairway. 70% of the fairways were hit last time they played here. So it makes the importance compared to Aronimink. This is a completely different situation off the tee. Narrow fairways, difficult to hit with massive penalties. Guys like Justin Rose, Cam Smith, didn't really get it together. But then if you go to this golf course with massively wide fairways, you're hitting a lot more of them. So the pressure to hit fairways for bad drivers isn't going to be nearly as much. I think it's almost like, it reminds me of LACC, reminds me a bit of St. Andrews, that kind of a situation where it's a bit wider, more forgiving off the tee, trouble off the fairway when you are there. And it's the same for everybody. Like if you're in the rough, you're in the rough. When you take a look at rough proximity, Mike, if you want to show my screen here again, it is the worst proximity of them all. If you are in the rough, no one separated themselves coming out from the rough. It was just bad. It's just bad. You are just sucking it up out the rough. You got zero control of your golf ball. Shocker, if you take a look at the best proximity from the fairway, Brooksy was hitting it to 27 feet on average from the fairway. And that was like 6 feet better than Tyler Duncan, who was second, who made the cut. So, having complete control from the fairway, capitalizing on your opportunities that will be ample from the fairway. When you have a green regulation rate that's 20% less than fairway hit rate, I think you can classify that as a second shot golf course. So immediately off the tee gets dispatched to the back of the priority. Yeah, it's approach play and it's around the green play, because those are, you're going to be hitting those shots every single time. An approach can make you a par. A great approach shot gives you a par or a birdie. A great chip can make a par or a birdie for you. And then you have a putt that can either make you, a long par save. So you're going to have 3 chances to make a par this week. The driver is not going to be the reason why. It's going to probably be the reason why you make bogey if you don't hit the fairway, but it's not going to be the reason why you make par. Question.
No, we're good. We're good.
Okay.
We're good.
Cool.
Go on.
So in-depth stuff here. I think overall, I'm looking for guys that are tidy around the greens. You got to have your strokes gained around the green figured out. You got to have your irons figured out. I'm not that worried about your off the tee stuff because it's wide ass fairways. We can see what happens. Okay. So that being said, let's dive into Byron's boxes this week. This is going to be I'm going to the US Open one, which is the major strokes gain data that we're using over here to kind of figure out the boxes this week. We've got a couple guys that check boxes, and all 6 of them to be exact. This information is from last week. It'll be updated once we get that stuff. Yeah. Hal scoring. And in fact, I'm actually going to jump to a different situation here called the Devil's Anus, my friends. If you have not played beer pong here in Iowa, we have a thing called the Devil's Anus, where if you hit, Mike, show my face real quick. You have the triangle of the beer pong. If you hit the front cup, if you hit the back 2 cups and the middle cup, you create a circle of cups called the Devil's Anus. You immediately win the game. That's one of the local rules we have in our house here. It's been awesome playing that. And this week is the Devil's Anus, because last time they played here at Shinnecock, the scoring average was 2 over par or more every single time they played. My house scoring is over par, which is like 25% of all the total rounds is over par on the PGA Tour kind of thing. We are looking at a very specific skill set of people here called the Devil's Anus. And Mike, you can show back my screen. These are the guys in the last 5 years. It goes back all the way to 2021, basically, and the 2018 US Open here. These are guys that have played really good golf in very, very difficult conditions when scoring averages are over 2 over par. Alex Fitzpatrick gains 2.6 strokes on the field. He's the best in this. He just won the Euro Indian, which was hellish, like bizarre land. Scotty Scheffler, Ryan Gerard, Xander Schauffele, Chris Gotterup, Matt Fitzpatrick, Corey Connors, Hideki Matsuyama, Colin Morikawa, Rory McIlroy, John Parry, Tyrrell Hatton, Patrick Reed, Brooks Koepka, Matthew Jordan, and John Rahm. Kind of round out our top 15-ish guys there for Devil's Anus conditions, when you are in the devil's butthole, hot, spicy, uncomfortable, but getting it done. Just get the ball in the hole. These guys gaining this amount of strokes will probably likely get close to breaking par if the score is 2 over par scoring averages. So these are some names. They're likely going to be present in the hellish conditions as well as we get to there. So hellish conditions for this week. Let's dive right into it. Going forward, as you can see, I've got all the recent major finishes for these guys. This is major centric, this model. I have another one that's kind of basically going to be using more recent stuff. So you can see recent finishes like on all the various tours that these guys have done, all of that kind of stuff. You can use the two different models for two different things. We are looking at hellish conditions on this golf course over the last 12 months. These are the guys that gain the most strokes in hellish conditions. Scotty Scheffler, Tyrrell Hatton, Rory McIlroy, Matt Fitzpatrick, Jackson Coyven, Tommy Fleetwood, John Rahm, Sam Burns, Patrick Reed, Xander Schauffele, all gained 2 strokes or more in hellish conditions. That is where we are looking to thrive this week in over par scoring land. Then we're going to take a look at the micro model. This is basically taking a look at every single hole on this course based off driving distances, proximities from each key area, green regulation rates, how it's going to work out. John Rahm is second. Rory McIlroy is number 1 in the micro model. Scotty Scheffler is third because he is struggling on the iron front. He's not quite getting there on approach. I am using 2026 data because that's the only data I have for Scotty Scheffler or the last 12 months to apply buckets to. I don't have major specific buckets, so I had to use, organic, generic approach play numbers for the micro model in the strokes gained approach stuff. Everything else here is using strokes gained off the tee, around the greens, putting from majors. Because I find guys play major golf differently to normal golf. Justin Rose ranks crazily different in major golf versus he does, normal RBC Canadian Open. Like, he could play as badly as he did last week. Unlikely. The guy levels up in majors. You see a lot of guys do that. You also see guys level down. Waco Neiman, for instance, doesn't thrive when majors show up. So using his major data kind of ranks him the way he should be based off of that. So yeah, we are in the micro model. Your top 10 guys are Rory, Rahm, Scotty, Xander, Rose, Reed, Morikawa, Matsuyama, Henley, Cameron Young, and Siwoo Kim, checking those boxes for 11 of the micro model rankings. Then we're going to take a look at majors in the last little while. Majors over the last 6 tournaments, basically starting in 2025, the last 6 majors. Scotty Scheffler has gained the most strokes over that period. Rory, Xander, Alex Smalley, small sample size. Chris Gotterup, John Rahm, Jake Knapp, also relatively interesting sample size there. Tyrrell Hatton, Matt Fitzpatrick, Harris English, and Ben Griffin, all gaining pretty heftily 2 strokes or more in majors over the last 6. So those are guys that showing some good progression in the major departments. Another situation we're going to go to is finding strokes gained around the green in majors. I just mentioned how important that is this week. Me and Darbo went through Sweet Spot DFS. We went through last night, and lead in form, guys that had great form coming into the week with around the green play or good baseline form around the green, we found so many less of them missed cuts. Now, they didn't have as high-end finishes as the guys like Brooks and Tommy, but a lot more of them made the weekend because chipping is going to be what you survive on this week. The leverage plays on the golf holes are going to be on approach, and you're missing the green half the time, you're going to be chipping every other time. These guys on your screen are the very best in majors, strokes gained around the green. I double-checked Max Griesemann. Buddy has been cooking around the greens in his major career. He's actually been very impressive. If you take a look.
How many majors has he played?
Yeah, lots. I mean, take a look at these major results for Max Griesemann over the last little while. He's had a 21st, 32nd, 33rd, 23rd, and 14th, so he's actually done some good work, and it's all come on around the green play for Max Griesemann over here. So he's an absolute consideration for me this week, given how well he chips in majors.
Definitely be. I wasn't thinking of him in DFS, but wow.
Yeah.
We might have to play. We might have to play a little Griesemann in DFS this week, huh?
Jason Day, you're going to have to play because what does Jason Day do? Sucks with the irons, but he can chip his face off. And he's going to be missing as many greens as everyone else. Cameron Smith, Patrick Reed, Maverick McNeely, Sungjae Im, Hideki Matsuyama, Scotty, Andrew Putnam, Justin Rose, Jordan Spieth, Minwoo Lee, and Russell Henley. All chip fantastically in the majors. I love when Kenny takes photos of the screen. It's one of my favorite things. I'll just send you the model, Kenny. You could use it.
I need this information, bro. Some good ass info right here, bro. So, I got to record that. I got to remember. At
50 minutes, Mike, we are looking at some of the best around the greeners. And I'm going to jump to the other model here as well, just to show you what I've did. Because now this looks weird. You haven't popped an LSD tablet. I've stacked the models. So I'm completely jumping. We still got some more boxes to check, but I want to just show you what I've done here. Is I've stacked the models so you can see the strokes gained over here. This is the weekly, and this is the majors. So majors are at the top of these columns, and then Scotty Scheffler is going to show you his majors for the rankings, which was the model we were just in, and then how it ranks if you're just using normal strokes gained from 2026, normal strokes gained over the last year on all tournaments. These are how these guys work out. So Scotty's been putting a lot better lately than he has typically in majors. You can kind of see the guys around the green. I've highlighted it here in purple. You can go and take a look. Okay, Fitzy's been chipping a lot better lately, so he's chipping well and chips well in majors. Ludwig Oberg's been chipping well lately, doesn't necessarily chip that great in majors. So you can kind of see, okay, go over here. You can compare the different stats for these guys in majors versus normal, because there's a variation of these results when these guys play in majors. Their brain does different stuff, and as a result, you're going to see all of that. So you can use this tool to figure out, okay, how they're doing in majors, how they're doing in other areas of normal golf. I don't know. I felt like it's the first time I've done this. It's pretty nerdy. I think it's going to help you kind of compare what these guys' baselines are versus what they are in majors. So these are your best around the green guys. Then I just want guys that are finishing top 5, top 10, top 20 and winning majors. So if you filter by that on this column over here, which is 20% of my rankings, because guys that play well at this golf course have played well in previous majors. If you take a look at this leaderboard, people, where are we here? 2018 data. Brooks Koepka was trying to win a second US Open in a row. Tommy Fleetwood had just finished 5th at a prior US Open. Dustin Johnson had just finished 2nd at just won a US Open 2 years prior. Patrick Reed had just won a green jacket that year. Tony Finau had a top 5. Henrik Stenson, I don't know at what point he became champion golfer of the year. Tyrrell Hatton had a top 5. I went through all of these things. Xander Schauffele had a top 5 in his first US Open. So everybody that played well this week had great major pedigree. So you have to have finished well in majors to succeed at this golf course. And as a result, we are going to be going there. These are your guys that have played the best golf in majors based off of their top 5, top 10, top 20, and win rates over the last 22 majors. Scotty, Rory, Xander, John Rahm, Colin Morikawa, Bryson DeChambeau, Justin Rose, Cameron Young, Ludwig Oberg, and Matt Fitzpatrick are your top 10 best high-end guys. Of that bunch, Justin Rose, Cameron Young, and Ludwig have not won a major in the last 5.5 years. Justin Rose is a US Open champion back in the day. No, not recently, though. So I'm just using data from this recent period of time. So these are your guys that really play well in majors. And then here is your Model Maniac Patreon top 10 model rankings this week for the major strokes gained model. Scotty, Rory, Xander, John Rahm, Justin Rose, Colin Morikawa, Patrick Reed, Matt Fitzpatrick, Russell Henley, and Ludwig Oberg. On your screen, you see 5 boxes that have a green background, which means there's black font in there, which means they've checked all 6. Scotty, Rory, Xander, Justin Rose, and Patrick Reed check all 6 boxes this week. Hellish scoring, course fit, last 6 majors, strokes gained around the green in majors, major finish rates, high-end finishes there, and then the overall model ranking. Top 20 in all of those categories are your top 6 model ranking guys. So that is how I'm looking at this week. I'm going to find some serious angles with guys that are good around the green. I don't see that many people glomming onto that element of the game this week. You obviously need to have the rest of your game in kind of control. So that's the situation. I think we've gone about as deep into this course as you can.
This was pretty intense. Last 30 minutes of the course preview and the boxes. I did forget to talk about something earlier in the show. So let's skip. Let's make an adjustment here. One thing I want to talk about, just to lighten up the mood here, before we get into our bets and our favorite DFS plays. How amazing is this World Cup been? It has literally been one of the best things that has happened in America. Like following these guys like Freddie the OnlyFans chick from England, the dudes from Scotland, right? Just showing how amazing America is. It's been the best, I think, marketing that the Americans could have, because I mean, everyone has their opinions from foreign countries about what America is, and they come and see the heartland and see how great the people are here. The majority of people are in the United States, and how fun we live. Now, the reason I want to talk about this is we're playing against each other next Friday. South Africa versus Korea next Friday. Now, I've been following the South African guy talking about his trip to the United States. And I know you've talked about this before, but I still can't get over it. Like, the guy literally is shocked at like cars driving slow. Like, he's shocked that he can just walk on the street at 11 o'clock at night. Like, is it really that fucking bad? I ask this all the time, but like, and I believe you, but like the way this guy is talking about it, it's like you're going to die if you live in South Africa and you're white.
When my dad and I got here, we were walking out of a grocery store and we got into a stalemate with another vehicle because we were waiting for it to come across the road. You take life into your own hands in South Africa. You cross when there's no cars around. You do not stop at traffic lights at nighttime. My mom's they take a spark plug and they smash your window with the spark plug. It shatters the window. They grab your bags or whatever out of the passenger side and peel out. We've got like a 33% unemployment rate in South Africa. So basically a third of the country is stealing to subsidize whatever they're trying to eat. And coming to America was one of the most bizarre situations in the world because I had so much anxiety built into me just because I was constantly on alert. I'd been hijacked twice. My dad's been hijacked 4 times, right? So we are like constantly on the lookout. What's next? Especially when it gets dark, that kind of stuff. Now I'm here in Iowa dude, I could run laps around the car in the middle of the night on the way back from parties. It was just like awesome. So America's the shit, Kenny. This place is amazing. And people that want to leave because of stupid stuff, rightfully so, go to other places, man. Go travel because it's not as nearly as nice as there as you think it is. Like America's got it together. I love America. That's why I'm here. Shout out to the United States.
So another thing that I've been enjoying, of course, is Korea being in Mexico. And like all the videos I've seen, how the Mexicans have like embraced Koreans down there. They're drinking tequila with them, doing chants. I mean, granted, back in I think it was the 2018 World Cup, the Koreans needed to beat the Germans for the Mexicans. And Germany was one of the best teams in the world. Yeah. And I think Korea scored 2 90-plus minute goals to beat Germany. And Mexico was so hyped that they had a parade outside the Korean embassy in Mexico City, right? So that's where I guess the love affair began. But it's been amazing. What I've noticed, like it seems like the Mexican women love the Korean men. I might have to buy a ticket. Head over to Mexico at some point in time because I love Latino women. I almost married a Latina, right? Tiny waist, big old boobies, and of course a fucking dump truck in the back, right? That's a Latina staple right there, right?
Latina.
And the best thing about her was she was like 80% covered in tats, right? Nice. She loved tattoos. Like especially back was done, right? And so every time you're hitting her from the back, it was like a new story. Like it's like you're reading like a brand new story every time. You're like, oh, I never noticed.
A new episode of Prison Break.
Yeah, you're just hitting it. It wasn't like that. No Adebisi type shit here. Okay, but I think I need to go to Mexico and find myself a woman, because they're just loving the Koreans right now. Okay, yeah, we had to delve into a little something fun before we get into the next part. Before we get to our favorite bets, let's have a word from our sponsor.
Football season is right around the corner, and DraftKings is bringing you their biggest best ball contest ever. We're talking a massive $20 million in total prizes, making this the largest best ball tournament in DraftKings history. And right now, our partners at DraftKings are giving new DraftKings customers a can't-miss offer. Get 3 tickets to play best ball for free with your first deposit. That's right. Deposit once and score 3 shots at big cash prizes only on DraftKings. It's easy. Just draft your team once. No weekly management required, and let your top scorers automatically start each week. All season long, every breakout star, every clutch play, and every touchdown counts towards your shot to win big. Download the DraftKings Daily Fantasy app and make your first deposit of $5 or more, and you'll score 3 tickets for your shot at massive cash prizes. That's 3 shots in DraftKings' biggest best ball contest ever without ever setting your lineup again. Only on DraftKings, the crown is yours in partnership with DraftKings. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. New York, call 8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. 18 plus in most states. Restrictions apply. Non-withdrawable ticket rewards are site credits for NFL best ball contests only and expire 14 days after being issued. Terms, www.draftkings.com/promotions in 6/4/26 at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time, sponsored by DraftKings. All right, friends, we are back. Thank you for listening. We are going to be rocking and rolling with the bets for this week, brought to you by DraftKings, Kenny Kim, the US Open, Shinnecock Hills. Got a couple futures. Most of them are from this week. Can get those numbers. Who are we going with at the US Open this week, my friend?
All right, so here's the thing. I still have about 2 units left. I have 2 bets in my main card, 3 long shots, and 2 futures. I am going to hold off those last 2 units, either waiting for the weather on Wednesday. Some guys that aren't on my card that I might look at for this, Terrell Hatton, Patrick Reed, Justin Rose, Chris Goddard, Hideki, JJ Spawn. Those are some guys that I will be looking at closely as the week goes on and as we see the weather. But let's go ahead and start with the main card for me this week. My first bet, it's going to be Rory McIlroy. 18-1 with 3 places. I was deciding between Rory and Rahm this week. I knew in my head, I was, even before the numbers, whatever, after the PGA Championship, I was going to bet one of those 2 guys. They are both 18-1 with 3 places on the site that's open 365 days a year, which you guys know I use because of the each ways. I do not think they deserve to be the same number. So that's why I took Rory. I think Rory should be lower odds, worse odds than Rahm. To give me Rahm and Rory at the same, I'm going to take Rory because at this point in Rory's career, it seems like he's singularly focused just on majors and big time events. And I honestly think with the Masters monkey off his back, I'm going to say it. I think he gets to 10 majors by the time his career is over. He's 36 years old right now. So he has 16 majors before 40. I think he wins 2 or 3 more before the age of 40. And then like Tiger, like Jack, he gets that one miraculous one in his 40s for number 10. Okay. That's what I believe for Rory right now. Like, you look at his PGA Championship run, he finished 7th with maybe a C-plus game for the week, right? Yeah. Maybe a C-plus game for the week. Numbers-wise, of course, for the model, he sits 4th in my model. He looks great. I will be betting Rory a lot in the majors for the foreseeable future, and it's going to start this week. And I think 18-1 is, for the 3 places, is a great fucking number for him. So I'm going to go ahead and take that. My next main card bet. It's going to be Matthew Fitzpatrick, 30-1 with 3 places. Has 3 wins this year already. Almost had a 4th last week. Didn't have his best finishes after his 3rd win, but he came on strong last week, finishing in 2nd place in Canada. His iron game has been strong. His driver has been accurate. He avoids bogeys. He avoids big numbers. And his around the green play, top notch. 2nd in the field in the last 24 rounds. He's going to be popular. I don't care. I'm going to play a little bit. I'm going to bet
Matt Fitzpatrick.
Matt Fitzpatrick. Next, Cam Smith, 90-1 with 8 places. Cam showed some life at the PGA Championship, and he followed it up with a 16th in Korea and a 5th last week in Valderrama. Looks like his game is trending back to where it used to be. And if you remember how he won most of his events in his career, it was because of his magnificent short game, right? This course seems well suited for him as the most important factor, I think will be on and around the greens. And then, like I said before, I think it goes backwards. On and around the greens, the most important. Approach play, second most important. Driving, the least important. Still important, but the least important. And, of course, we all know what Cam's big bugaboo is. It is the driver. And because the course plays the way it does and goes basically from reverse when it comes to strokes gained, I love Cam Smith this week, 90-1. Next, 2 big-time flyers. It's going to be Brian Harman, 175-1 with 8 places. Harman has played well on difficult tracks throughout his career and plays well on links and link-style courses, which Shinnecock is. And we've seen his track record at the Open Championship with a lot of top finishes in that link style of play. If you remember, when he won the Open Championship, yes, he won it at 13 under, but he won by 7 strokes, right? It was a tough track that week. So that's enough for me to take a flyer, especially with the 8 places, right? 8 places plays what? 175-1, 55-1 this week for him. So I'm going to go ahead and take that, hoping for the each way. And if we get lucky, who knows? Okay, right? My final bomb, and again, super flyer. It's going to be Nico Echeverria, 300-1 with 8 places. Hasn't been great in majors. Really hasn't. But he has a proven track record as a winner. He's also proven on coastal, windswept courses. That's enough at 300-1, right? For me, at 300-1, that's enough. Right?
His biggest issue he doesn't have any juice off the tee distance wise. That's why he gets ripped in these opens and majors. Do we need to, like, if you're looking at Nico Echeverria, who can he be on this list? He can be a 2018 Daniel Berger, a Henrik Stenson, a Webb Simpson, a Justin Rose, a Zach Johnson, a 2018 Matt Fitzpatrick, and of all fucking people, Russell Knox, T12. I mean, to me, that is all Nico Echeverria.
If I remember correctly about Russ Knox, pretty good coastal win player too.
Yeah, low pretty ball flight.
Coastal win player too. Right? So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take that flyer. That pays what? 60-1, something like that. Oh, I'm sorry. Brian Harman would pay 35-1, not 55-1. 35-1 for the 8 places. Nico will play 60-1 for the 8 places each way. And for those of you not familiar with each way betting, I know we're going to get a lot of new people on the show this week. Basically, what it means is you're making 2 bets. You're betting the outright number, and you're betting the each way, which is usually 1/4 or 1/5 of the each way number. Whatever you bet on the outright, you bet the same exact amount on the each way. So if he wins, you get both the winning amount and the each way amount. If he doesn't win but comes second through eighth, you get that each way amount, which is 1/5 or 1/4 of the outright. And you get that money. Basically, it's like insurance. Basically, it's like, you're covering yourself. It's like almost like playing the placement market. Is what it is similar to. You can find the book that has it. It's helped my betting immensely.
Yeah.
It's made it so much easier for me to have non-huge losing years. Right? Ever since I started doing the each way betting, I think I've won 1 year, I've been even 1 year, and this year I'm up. Okay? And that's what it's helped me. So if you could find the books out there that have it, because here's the thing, usually it would be similar to a top 10, a prop at other books. The each way numbers for the top 8 are so significantly better usually. For the top 10s you'll see. And that's why I like the each way bets.
Yeah.
All right. So I have 2 futures as well. I released these 2 weeks ago. The first one is Sam Burns. I would still be looking at him at the numbers around because I had him at 45-1 with 5 places. You could still get around that number. Hasn't dropped too much, and I think it might even go drift by the time Wednesday gets around for Mr. Burns because, of course, he has trouble finishing, right?
He does.
But he has been close at majors recently. And, he's had a decent season. It's just that Sundays he hasn't been able to come around. Can he do it here? Who knows? But at 45-1 with 5 places, I was going to take that risk with the way he's playing. Next, my other future bet, hopefully you got it at around 60 2 weeks ago, because Wyndham Clark 80-1 with 5 places. I would not bet him 35-1 or 30-1 that we're seeing now. Okay? So the betting card for this week, so far, definitely going to add some either Wednesday night. I'll probably add one Wednesday, probably save some for live betting. So make sure you follow me on X at KendoVT. So the card, it's going to be Rory McIlroy, 18-1, 3 places. Matthew Fitzpatrick, 30-1, 3 places. Cam Smith, 90-1, 8 places. Brian Harmon, 175-1, 8 places. Nico Echeverria, 300-1, 8 places. And, of course, Burns, 45-1, 5 places to the future. And Wyndham Clark, 80-1, 5 places was a future. Other guys, like I said, that I'm going to look at, Hatton, Rose, Goddard, Reed, Hideki, Spawn.
Okay. Let's chat about some of those names, Kenny Kim. For me, I have a thing going on with Patrick Reed, my friends. He is somebody that I'm very interested this week. He ranks 7th in the major model and the weekly model. He checks all 6 boxes in both. So that is fantastic to hear. If you take a look at Patrick Reed, he finished 19th or 4th here. No, that was the last. I need to stick to one fucking model. Yeah. Here we go. All right. So I think he finished 4th here last year, the last time they played in 2018. So he knows how to handle this golf course, does Patrick Reed. Then we take a look at what he gets up to in hellish conditions. He gains 2 strokes on the field, which is, top 20 in this field as well. He is one of the best around the green players in this field as well. He's 6th in the micro model ranking, aka the course fit model. He's been playing his best major golf in the last 6 majors compared to, his longer baselines. So he is just doing everything you could wish for from a upside perspective. 12th at the Masters, 10th at the PGA Championship, and finished 3rd at the 2025 Masters. The guy is just dialed in right now. He's playing fantastic major golf. And, you're going to see a theme with my card. It's guys that don't necessarily hit it the furthest. They kind of keep it together off the tee as best they can. There are names that will not be there. And solid iron players and fantastic they are elite around the green golfers this week. So Patrick Reed, up there, 50 to 1. Let's go. I'll be betting him top 5 and top 10 as well at the respective odds. Shop around, find your stuff over there. So Patrick Reed, I think, was 3 to 1 for a top 10 this week, which is exactly what I was looking for him. So give me Patrick Reed there, and then we're going to be diving to Tyrrell Hatton while I'm at it. I think he is going to win a major soon. If you take a look at what he's been up to on the major circuit the last little while, in the 2025 US Open, he finished 4th, then 16th, then 3rd, and then missed the cut at the PGA Championship. It was a bit more of a wedge venue than anything else. I think Tyrrell, fantastic at this golf course. He also played here, I believe, in the past and finished
I think one of his best major finishes was here.
Yeah. This was easily his best major finish prior to, I think he had a 5th or something at one of the Opens as well. Couldn't agree more, Kenny. He knows how to handle this golf course. He's playing fantastic golf. He gains 2.5 strokes in hellish conditions. Like, this is Tyrrell Hatton's playground, in my opinion. So he's doing great work. In majors, he gains strokes around the green. He's been struggling with the putter lately. Not lately, in majors in general, but he's got a lot better. You don't putt as badly as he has in majors and still finish inside the top 15, inside the top 16 in like most of your majors the last little while. So he's really figured it out. He's starting to handle majors a lot better. Tyrrell Hatton as well. What did I grab him at? He was 40 to 1. So I'm in on Tyrrell Hatton, Patrick Reed at 50, Tyrrell Hatton at 40. Then we're going to go to Justin Rose, baby, 5th in the model. And I've done no manipulation with this situation. He is the best of his 4 splits is hellish conditions, gains 1.6 strokes there. He's finished 16th, 3rd, and 10th in 3 of his last 3 majors. He's been right in the mix. We've got 2 second-place finishes. So like half of his major finishes lately have been 2nd or 3rd. He missed like a 3-footer on 17 at the Masters to fall into a tie for 3rd versus a tie for 2nd with Scotty. So basically call it 3 second-place finishes in the last 6-7 majors. So he is primed to win a golf tournament at this venue. And guess what? Justin Rose finished 10th at this golf course when he played here in 2018. Did I mean to have all these guys with good course history? No. It just somehow works out that they have the skill set I need in order to bet them this week.
Now, when it comes to Justin Rose, because I'm thinking about betting him too. I'm thinking about betting Reed also, and I'm thinking about betting Hatton. So we're on the same wavelength here.
Same wavelength.
But when it comes to Rose, do you think it's possible he drifts? Because I don't see too many people talking him up. Do you think that we should wait until Wednesday to bet him?
Yes, and I will tell you why. Because I have for you, if you go over to Justin Rose's page in the weekly thing, you can see the last couple US Opens. And Justin Rose, where are you, my friend? Here we are. So Justin Rose, if you take a look at his US Open track record, if people are looking at, there we go. If people are looking at just the US Open history of this man, he's missed 4 cuts and finished 37th in his last 5 US Opens. This week isn't your like stereotypical US Open with long drives needed and thick rough and muscles out of the rough and things like that. It's a McLaren. You can drive your McLaren around Shinnecock. You needed to be precise. You needed to have start and stop zip. This is not a Bryson DeChambeau F-150 situation. So I think Justin Rose's course history or event history is going to deter people. He missed the cut at the RBC Canadian Open. Maybe people don't go in there, Kenny. But again, I wasn't messing around with him. 40 is fair, in my opinion. If it drifts, it drifts. So be it. So, Justin Rose, one of the better iron putters in majors as well, grinding over 12-foot par putts is like what he does. Mm-hmm.
One of the best. One of the most amazing in majors.
He levels up. He's, in my opinion, he's one of the most ferocious competitors on the PGA Tour mentally. Doesn't have it physically compared to who he's playing against, compared to other 45-year-olds. He's kicking their ass. The senior tour is going to have a problem if he makes it there with motivation because, the guy is old and still dominating. So great major pedigree, great number. I'm not concerned about the US Open track record. I'm not concerned about the miscuts. we started to see some really good stuff since he implemented the McLaren irons, and we're looking good there. Next up for me, we are going to a guy by the name of Russell Henley, baby.
All right, one thing I do want to add before you move on, like I didn't ask Byron any of these questions before the show started, and somehow you've been able to have shit ready to answer these questions, and it's been incredible. That's good work there, Byron. That's good work, brother.
Thank you, my buddy. Great questions, because I have the answers to them. Don't ask any questions I don't have the answers to. Okay?
Yeah, I'm going to try.
Okay. We'll see what happens. But Russell Henley is one of the most underrated golfers on the planet. He just won the Charles Schwab, so we know he can win golf tournaments. And if you take a look at his US Open track record, that's the complete opposite to what Justin Rose is going on with here. We are looking at a 13th, a 14th, a 7th, and a 10th in 4 of his last. He's been doing great work. But if we go to his overall major run-in coming in here, Russell Henley finished 25th here back in 2018. He's completely different golfer now. He's top 10 in the world, Russell Henley now. I want to point out that in the last 4 majors, Russell Henley's finished 10th, 10th, and 3rd. Prior to that, he missed 2 more cuts, but then he finished 23rd, 7th, and 5th. Like, Buddy is just getting it together in majors. What is his biggest weakness? It's a glaring distance problem. Glaring distance. But he is one of the most accurate drivers of the golf ball in this field. Aaron Rai, Max McGreevy, Russell Henley. And these are in majors. So we know he can drive it accurately in majors. He's going to be absolutely dialed this week.
One thing about the shorter hitters this week, they're probably going to add 5 to 10% off the tee because of the rollout.
Mm-hmm. And he hits that like piercing ball flight that stays in the fairway, could generate that run, because if you're hitting the rough, it's fescue. It's stopping immediately. It's not going to go nowhere. And Russ is typically hurt when it comes to the long irons, 200 plus and out. He doesn't have the ball flight to land it softly. He's going to have a couple, but again, remember we spoke about it like an hour ago, how wide the dispersion of approach shots is this week. So through the bag, you're going to have wedges, you're going to have mid-irons, you're going to have long irons. It gives you more opportunity to really capitalize on those mid to wedge range opportunities for Russell, which will be from the fairway generating spin. He's one of the better around the green players as well, is Russell Henley in majors. He's turned himself into a super, super, super handy guy around the greens. Love what's going on with Russell Henley. His price is absurd. I think I found a 45-1 on Russell Henley. For everything I've just spoken about, in my opinion, that should probably be 25-30-1. Like, given what we've just rattled off here, the name Russell Henley is not doing any justice. Finished 3rd at the Masters. That's all I need. You got your major top 10, top 5 at the US Open. That's what we're looking for. Give me Russell Henley at 45-1. Moving down the board, we're going to Hideki Matsuyama, 66-1, Kenny. I'm basically doing all the guys that you liked. What does Hideki Matsuyama do? I'm going to go to the major strokes gained, and I'm going to filter by strokes gained around the green. And we're just going to find Hideki Matsuyama floating over here, gaining, almost a full stroke on the field around the greens in majors kind of thing. So we are seeing Hideki Matsuyama. What does he do poorly? Drive the golf ball. Again, what is the least important of the 4 key boxes we're looking for this week off the tee? Wide-ass fairways for Hideki Matsuyama. Hideki Matsuyama in majors hits his irons incredibly well. He's one of the better iron players in this field as well. Like when you are one of the better around the green and iron players, you've got it together, because when you are a good iron player, you're not giving yourself that many opportunities around the green. So when you do get them, you're capitalizing. And guess what? His biggest strength is going to be on full-on display this week around the greens. Hideki is saucy as fuck when it comes to chipping. Tight lies, spinners, just it's so fun to watch Hideki Matsuyama do his thing. And he does well in hellish conditions as well. Excuse me. 8th in the micro model ranking for Hideki Matsuyama. Great iron player. If you take a look at Hideki Matsuyama's strokes gained approach at the US Open, the last time I checked, Hideki gains more strokes on approach at US Opens than Sam Burns gains putting at the Valspar. Think about what Sam Burns has done putting on Bermuda greens at the Valspar, winning twice off the back of his putter. Hideki gains more strokes on approach at US Opens than Sam Burns does with the putter at the Valspar. I don't know what the deal is. He just dials it in. So there is some sort of merit to having course history, event history. Some guys just do better in certain events because you're going to a US Open, you're going to a PGA Championship. It's different. Like, I don't know. But at the same time, Hideki Matsuyama is fantastic in that situation. So give me him. Next up is Harris English at 100-1. If you take a look at what Harris English does, I'm going to go over here to the top 30 rates in majors and just find guys down here. And I'm going to scroll to find Harris English finishing inside the top 30 of majors 50% of the time. If we take a look at what Harris English's major track record has been coming into this week, this guy, people, he's 100-1. And these are his most recent to further away starts in majors. 18th, 30th, 2nd, 59th, 2nd, 12th, 50th, 41st, 18th, and 22nd. Like, what is this guy doing at 100-1 when we had 2 runner-up finishes in majors last year, and they are at golf courses that were difficult? One of them was an Open Championship, which is kind of what we kind of vibing with the general layout of the land this week. And Harris English does his best work in hellish conditions. No one can grind out an over par round like Harris English. We've seen it at the API. We've seen it at the Farmers. Yes, Kenny.
I love Harris English this week too. I think he's made like 8 straight U.S. Open cuts in a row. The funny thing is, when we do these weeks,
say that one more time, Kenny.
Yeah, what's
you cut
the
out.
Funny
sorry.
thing?
What's the funny thing?
Oh, the funny thing is, when we do these shows, a lot of the times, me and you are rarely on a lot of the same people because we have different processes, right? And I know you look more at long form. I look more at short, recent form, stuff like that. It says something about Shinnecock that we are very in tune this week because of what you need to play on this course. And I think that's something that's like is eye-opening for what we've been talking about this week and how similar we are because it takes a certain type of player to be able to conquer this test. And I think we both see what needs to happen. And it's just sort of funny that we are so dialed in together this week,
which is obviously going to end wonderfully, Kenny. Like the fact that this is
great or absolutely fucking horrible.
It's going to be one way or the other. I don't know. By the way, Harris English, we are still, I think I got 4 units out there coming back to me, or 8 units. I had Harris English to make the cut in all 4 majors. We've made the first 2. I've also got Xander Schauffele to top 20 in all 4 majors. You've done that as well. So we're looking good. I like the chances. There's a chance for the Open. We hedge out of the situation if need be. But I'm probably just going to let both ride in that department. We've mentioned that at the Masters show as well. So there's Harris English. Grades out 18th for me in the model for the majors. The 2 second place finishes, I've always been on about needing to have tasted major smoke in order to go and pursue a win. And he's definitely one of those guys that does that. And then, Kenny, the Lindeque ladder of the week is going to be none other than Cameron Smith, who, by the way, is 19th in the model, but I had a maniac override over here. I had to fix it because of these reasons. Cameron Smith entered the PGA Championship off the back of a skid in major golf where he went from winning the Open Championship in 2022 to missing 6 consecutive major cuts. One of the most talented golfers we've ever seen from a putting perspective, from a short game perspective, from a competitive perspective, just went off the boil for a year and a half, completely sucked it up. He changed his coach pre-PGA Championship to Claude Harmon and found immediate success at the PGA Championship, finishing 7th. We finished then, if you go take a look at Valderrama, where he just played his last live tournament, finished 5th at Valderrama, which is a demanding off the tee venue. You cannot drive it like shit around there. His driver since the PGA Championship has got better and better in the last 4 tournaments. Cameron Smith, friends, is the second best around the green player in majors. He's going to get the opportunity to do what he does absolutely best. I popped it in the Discord, 160 to 1 for Cameron Smith. If we go to the bet tracker, I've got all the stuff for us. Here's Cam Smith's numbers. So 160 to 1 for his outright number. Then we're going to go to, it's on the other one. Goodness gracious. I've got way too much going on here right now. All right. Cameron Smith. We're going to him on DraftKings. Ties paid in full, top 20 at plus 370. We're going to him in the top 10 market at plus 880 and the top 5 market at 21 to 1. So that is Cam Smith for you. I am extremely bullish on his outlook. He found the iron play since getting his new coach dialed in. If we take a look at Cam, he's played fantastic. Kenny. I'm like frothing at the mouth right now. We got a 16th at the Korea Live event as well. So we are starting to really accumulate some good finishes. 7th at the PGA, 16th at the Korean event, 5th at Andaluca at Valderrama. So woo, baby. It's looking really good for Cam. And we saw him finish 4th at the 2023 US Open, which was at LACC, which I think is a very similar golf course. Wide fairways, which Cameron Smith needs to have in order to succeed. So let's go. Limiting his biggest weakness, emphasizing his biggest strength. I think he can win this thing at +1 or -1, just grinding his way out of here. We'll see. So that is it. Cam Smith is the ladder play of the week for Lindeque's ladder this week. Diving into this week's Blood, Sweat, and DFS tiers for the DraftKings DFS slate at the US Open, Kenny Kim. We've got a $14,900 Scotty Scheffler. Where do you want to take that conversation?
I mean, you could play him. There's a 5K range. You could play him. I'm not.
Yep.
Again, it's just so much easier to make rosters without him. But the thing about the US Open is you see some random ass heads on that top, fucking Russell Knox. right?
Russell Knox, dude.
Fucking Russell Knox in the top 10 or whatever in the last time they played. You see some randoms up in this thing. If you can find some gems in the 5K range, I got a few that I like. Then yes, go. And you love Scotty, it's definitely doable.
I don't want to play Scotty this week, but based off of the 5 other pieces that you can give Scotty this week, I want to play Scotty because most US Opens, you're not going to be finding 5K guys at the top of the leaderboard because of the course layout. Like the 5K guys are the short hitters that don't have distance. They're going to just get eaten up by the golf course. The 5K guys now have really good short game. They're short off the tee. Like they can sun run a couple Russell Knoxes, like we said. So we rattle off all the guys driving at 284 off the tee in 2018 that finished top 20 here. So it is absolutely there. But I think the problem with Scotty is the opportunity cost. That you can shove so many other names, 3, 8, or 9K guys in for the same price as Scotty Scheffler. So to me, I'm going to be going that route instead.
So I am going to play both Rory and Jon Rahm.
Okay.
I'm playing both of those guys this week. They'll each be in 2 of my 5 lineups. Rory is Rory. Like I said, I think he's driven. I think he's major driven. I think he's on that Tiger route now where all he gives a fuck about is the majors, and he shows up when he needs to show up. And I'm in on Rory. Like I said, I think he's going to win 2 or 3 more before he turns the age of 40. I think he gets to 10. I think he's going to be one of the top 5 best players to ever play the game. And I know people don't like him, and I know people are going to, talk shit about this to me. But you look at the consistency that he's had. Yes, the majors, he had a gap in the majors. But like winning events, how many 40 wins on the PGA Tour or something like that? 30 wins on the PGA Tour. Winning every year. The guy has been unbelievably consistent. Now he's got the Masters monkey off of his back. It's time for him to unleash. I'm going to play Rory. I like John. He could hit it both ways. He plays that cut off the tee very, very off, with his approaches very, very well. Lands soft, the high ball flight, short game, pretty good. Got that major monkey off of his back where he was actually in contention finally, finishing I think runner-up or
second,
top 5 at the PGA Championship. He's had a couple of top 10s last year at the end, but they were like backdoor coming, shooting 78 on the first day and just going crazy for 3 straight days. The PGA Championship really got him back on track. I think he finished second in Valderrama behind Hatton. So I'm going to play both those guys. Now, I was going to make Bryson my hustle play of the week, but I'm not. I changed that. But I will say, I do think it's possible that Bryson DeChambeau is the lowest owned golfer from above Colin Morikawa. I think Hatton and above, it's the only other person I could see that maybe gets lower ownership is Koepka. That's because of an injury. Right? So if you're playing the leverage game, right? Game theory perspective. No, don't even worry about the golf. Yeah. Just game theory perspective, right? This course, similar aspects to Pinehurst, number 2, which of course Bryson won a couple of years ago. Hasn't been playing that great. He's got a lot going on now where he's doing business deals with Liv and stuff like that. We've seen golfers who have taken on extra responsibility like that, like Cantlays and stuff like that, sort of their game sort of falling apart, right? It's very possible that happens. But, like I said, if you're playing the game theory, GPP, which honestly the best GPP players, that's the way they play, he's going to be the leverage play up top. He's going to be the leverage play up top. You could see 10% owned for him, maybe even 9% owned for him this week.
I wanted to make Bryson my Statfish of the week again, but it's obvious. It's obvious that he's a bad play. This week he's compared to those around him. He's missed 3 of his last 4 majors cuts. He's not happy inside. Like you play good golf and you're the happiest.
I am not playing him, just to let you know, even though, that it is a game theory leverage play. And that's one of the reasons why, pre-recording, I give my hustler play to Mike, our producer, and he was the hustler play. And I changed it about 15 minutes ago after I saw some of the information that you posted in your boxes and stuff like that. So
let's go, baby.
So he made that change.
I love John Rahm, by the way, at 11.5.
Yeah.
He'll be my highest owned guy of the 4 at the top. I think Rahm is, just super consistent right now. Every area of his game is kind of bulletproof. I like the fact that he's, playing better golf and managed to get that second place at the PGA. That was very important to me. I didn't want to be early on him. Now we're good.
I think John's going to be popular. I think a bunch of people are going to jump on him, but that's fine. My first cash game cornerstone is going to be in the 10K range. It's going to be Xander Schauffele at $10,100. I think the floor is high. You've seen that this top 20 run that he's had at majors. And of course, he has the upside. He won 2 majors just a couple of years ago, right? So it pretty easy and a low price, I think, for a guy of his ilk. I think it's very, very fair. So first cash game cornerstone is going to be Xander at $10,100.
Xander Schauffele has the same top 20 rate as Scotty Scheffler in majors since 2021. The last 22 majors, they're both finishing top 20 82% of the time. Xander Schauffele. It is insane. It's I think in the last 16 or 17, he's 16 or 17 of 18.
And it's not like he's playing bad right now. He hasn't been able to finish, but he's pumping out top 15s pretty consistently.
My weekly model rankings have Xander at 11. My major have him at 3. that is exciting to me. That seems like a leveragey spot. If people forget how fucking good this guy is when the moment comes, yes, he's not going to give you as much upside as Rory and Rahm top 5 wise, but man, is this guy at 10-1? He's your second click in some instances, So like you can completely go with that route. Super safe option at a very affordable price. You can begin your lineups with him. You can go second. I'm totally on board with
Funny
Xander.
enough, I think, my second cash game cornerstone, which I'll go over here in a minute, should be higher priced than him. So the second guy I got, fuck it, let's just go to it. My second cash game cornerstone, let's go to the $8,000 range there, Mike. It's going to be Matthew Fitzpatrick at $8,900. We talked a bunch about Fitzy in the betting segment. He's playing good golf. He has 3 wins. He has the major pedigree. He has the short game. He's been very, very accurate off the tee here recently. It doesn't make big numbers. Give me Fitzy as my second cash game cornerstone. In all honesty, like I think Fitzy has more upside than X. And I think this works out just fine, right? Because X, I love his floor, right? And I think these prices could be flipped, and I don't think people would go ape shit over it, right? Very easily, these two prices could be flipped, and no one would bat an eye. So those are my first 2 cash game cornerstones. But let's get back to the 9K range. Who do you like?
Yeah, the 9K range, Kenny, it's interesting because you go from 9 to 10. From 9 to 8 so fast. Tommy Fleetwood at $9,700 seems interesting. I'm going to monitor the ownership. He's been kind of lackluster in majors lately. So, in the 9K range overall, I'm kind of cool skipping.
I don't think I'm playing anybody. Here's the thing: beware the injured golfer. We really need to see what Koepka's saying about his risk, because Koepka's the guy where he was playing like ass, right? And he could have just been like, "Well, shit, I'm out of it. Let's just say I have a wrist problem and get out." I don't think that's what happened. Okay, I think something might have bothered him when it comes down to it. But even if it was like something small, I think that would be enough for him to get out of there and withdraw so he can prep for this week. So I think we need to monitor his situation. And if he's going to be 8%, you're mass multi-entering, you might want to throw some Koepka up in that bitch.
Yeah.
Right. I think you might.
It was trending that way, and this might be a perfect fortune favors the brave situation. It could also completely just nuke you and WD again. But we will see.
That's why it's a gamble. That's why it's a bet. That's why we're doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
You just got to have the stones do it, and it might pay off, but it could be a fucking disaster.
Kenny, I can see me and Sweet Spot, we started building lineups starting with Matthew Fitzpatrick at $8,900. It sounds weird. This is a US Open champion, a guy that just finished second in his last start. He's one of the greatest. Matthew Fitzpatrick around the greens is diabolically good. That cack-handed left-hand low, super, super fancy around the greens there. You can go Matthew Fitzpatrick. You can click Tyrrell Hatton next. You can go Justin Rose next, and you can click Russell Henley, Patrick Reed. I mean,
it's soft pricing. It's the majors. It's soft pricing. But it makes sense. Fitzy is.
That is what makes playing Scotty Scheffler so hard. Is I just rattle off all of these guys that very much have a good chance. The odds wise are all sitting at like sub 55 to 1, 50 to 1 to win the tournament. You can put 4 or 5 of them in the same lineup, whereas you can only put 2 of them maybe in Scotty Scheffler lineups. Is Scotty really going to dominate this week as much as, he's not, doesn't have his fastball right now, I think the middle of the pack here is just looking so good. So to summarize, this entire range except for JT and Victor Hovland, I'm out on JT and Victor Hovland. Everybody else, I'm playing in.
I'm out on Hovland. JT interests me a little bit because the short game is good. Driving is the weakest part of his game, and as a
Cam
approach game
Smith
itself,
situation.
it's basically the Hideki situation with him. I'm definitely going to monitor JT and his ownership, and if it's going to be low ownership, I'm playing him. But
I will second that.
Yeah.
Yes.
My third cash game cornerstone is going to be Tyrrell Hatton. Like we've talked about it, the short game is pretty good. He's just won Valderrama. He has the nappy factor. Just had a newborn. He's got all that money. I'm pretty sure he probably can afford an au pair or a nanny. Doesn't seem like the Scotty Scheffler type that's going to be hands-on.
No.
Right? I'm just guessing here. Right? Right. But that's what I feel, right? And so I love Hatton. He's going to be my third cash game cornerstone. I think he finished fourth or fifth or sixth year back in 2018. The game is trending strong. The life vibes are good for him. Give me Hatton as my third cash game cornerstone. We talked about Rosie. I really hope he doesn't gain steam. If he's low owned, I'm definitely on Justin Rose. We had a huge conversation about that. Chris Gotterup interests me. The reason why, that low ball flight, drive, get on the green, fairway catcher from the New Jersey area, played golf in Oklahoma, windy conditions, proven winner, won twice this year. I think I might be able to get on board with a little bit of Gotterup.
Third place at the Open Championship, winner of the Genesis Scottish Open. You know, like he's got that major pedigree. He can hang. You know, in windy conditions, nobody's more comfortable than that man. Like it's obvious.
Yeah.
It's just obvious. So I love that. Do I like the fact he doesn't necessarily have the greatest short game? No, but he changes. He morphs into good golfer, Chris, when it's windy. Yeah, I don't know what the deal is. So I'm cool with that. Other names in the sevens, Kenny?
In the 7K range, okay, so these are not my cash game cornerstones. But right now I have Patrick Reed and JJ Spawn as my two other cash lineup entrants to go along with my final cash game cornerstone, which is in the 6K range. And we'll go over him in a second. But I think any blend of Henley, Reed, Wyndham Clark, Burns, JJ Spawn, Decky, any type of mixture of those guys can fill your final two spots in cash. Okay, so those are the guys I like, and that I will use in cash. Mike, let's go ahead and hit the music. My hustler play of the week is going to be Hideki Matsuyama at $7,600. I hope he doesn't pick up steam, because his recent form hasn't really been outstanding, right? Just a bunch of middle of the road finishes. But at this price, like we talked about earlier, the guy seems to step up in anus of hell. What is it like? Hell's anus. Hell's anus. I'm like Yoda. Hell's anus conditions, like we were talking about, being one of the best ones in there. A guy that we talked about who short game is incredible, iron game very, very good, and his driving is the worst part of his game, but we think it can get by. And again, I just listed off people that are going to be very popular: Henley, Reed, Victor Wyndham Clark, Sam Burns, JJ Spawn, Cantley Siwoo might even pick up a little bit of steam, right? So it's possible that Hideki gets overlooked, and I'm hoping for like 8 to 12%, and I'm hoping closer to the 8%. Again, major pedigree is just fine, and the thing is, he makes cuts. So like, even if he doesn't contend, he's not going to destroy your lineup, because more than likely, old boy's going to make the cut as well. Right. And that's really for GPPs, a lot of the times, I know people think upside. The first thing you have to do is get 6 through. Once you get 6 through, anything can happen, especially at the US Open, when we all know the 6 of 6 percentage is going to be minuscule. So, it's just something to think about, especially in single entry GPPs, But other guys that I like, of course, I do like Wyndham Clark this week. And I know you're going to talk about him in a second, but the guy's form is there. You even said LACC, some similarity. All right. That's, of course, where he won. His confidence is sky high right now. I do like Wyndham Clark a lot. And then I don't really like the guys in the bottom. Siwoo, the short game is there. He's actually ranked second in my model, but his major track record is so incredibly bad that if he's going to be 10 to 15% owned, I'm just going to go ahead and fade him and rely on hope on his shitty major track record because it's absolutely horrendous. Now, if he's low owned,
he does a lot of stuff right.
You can talk me into him because, again, when it comes to DFS, it's different. You got to play the numbers, right? When it comes to ownership, it's very, very important. But as of now, I expect him to be popular. So as of now, I am fading him. Also, Cantling, I don't think so. If I'm going to play anyone down here, it's going to be the Euros. It's going to be Bobby Mack, and it's going to be Shane Lowry. Bobby, used to these type of courses. They say Shinnecock is the closest we see in America to a Scottish golf course. Used to windswept courses. Second last year at the U.S. Open. Am I correct about Bobby Mack?
Second.
Right?
Yep.
Second last year at the U.S. Open. So I think I can get behind Bobby Mack at 7K.
Amen. Now, the thing is, he's driving the ball really well, which at a golf course like this, he could hit like 85% of his fairways, which for his irons coming into this week, he's playing quite poorly with the irons, but he's very
But the green and regulation percentage, I expect to be less than 50%.
Correct. But he's not hitting his irons great, but he's going to be hitting his bad irons from the fairway a lot more than everybody else this week. We've spoken about the not importance of, you can lean into that for like Cam Smiths and things like that.
It's not about the fairway, Byron. It's about hitting the correct spot in the fairway, and he's accurate enough where he can do that because, there's going to be over 70% of fairways hit here, right? And not many. I think there'll be plenty of people that are 80%, fairways hit this week. The big thing is you're going to have to aim at the right spots. Like I talked about in the course preview, hole 8, right? You have to hit it left to get the right angle to the green, right? But when you hit it left, there's these huge bunkers. There might even, I don't know if there's water. I don't think there's water, but there's a lot more trouble on that side if you yank it just a little bit. So the majority of people are going to hit it right? And of course, they'll hit the fairway. But they're going to have to hit a blind shot over a bunker onto a firm green. And if the pin placement is in the front, there's no way they're going to get it close.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Yeah.
Okay. And so what Bobby Mack can do is he can target the exact spots. His driving accuracy is so elite that he can target the right spots to give him the best opportunity. So I would either take Bobby Mack with bad mid to long irons from the right angle
in the fairway,
right? Than a guy who plays good mid to long irons hitting it on the wrong side of the fairway.
Yeah, exactly. And you never know what that bit of confidence, just repeated fairway approach shots can just maybe find the irons all of a sudden. He's a grinder. And also, if you're looking to maybe bet him, you can jump on him late. He tends to get off to like slowish starts in these types of things. So you can just watch him do his thing. You never know what he gets up to.
I was thinking about betting him. I was going to wait till Wednesday, but now I might wait even longer and save it for the live bet.
Don't you? He backdoors all of these finishes. You see him just charging up the leaderboard over the weekend. So
because the book that's open 365, they will do 8, 10, 12 places after the first round.
Yeah. You can see, is his irons like bad or is he like hanging? Is there hope And I think, that's one of the things you can take a peek at this week there. Let's dive into my guy that I'm going to chat about. You really fancy Wyndham Clark, Kenny Kim. I understand why. We got a 4th place at the Open Championship in 2025. He's a US Open champion at the freaking LACC that I've been using as like a comp course. I get it. There's upside. His ceiling is absolutely there. The floor for Wyndham Clark in majors is not. And that's going to be the reason why he's the Statfish of the week this week. I'm showing you on the screen right now. He's got a 12% in majors since 2021. He's got a 12% top 5 rate. He's got a 12% top 20 rate. It's the same. When he finishes top 10, top 20, it's top 10, it's top 5. And it's very limited. It was the US Open and it was the Open Championship. I think those are his 2 top 5s now that he has in majors. So everywhere else, it's miscuts and non-top 40s. We've started to get better lately, but again, he is a hothead. He runs hot, and I bet him to win last week. In majors, maybe he misses the cut, and he's $7,800. He's playing great golf. The form is good. I'm banking on the major bugaboo biting him back.
I think he's going to be popular, and I think you're 100% right. He lacks consistency.
Yeah.
And I think, of the guys that I talked about in that high 7K range that I liked in cash, he would be my least favorite, and I'm not going to play him in cash.
Yeah.
He would be because he has that potential to be he's the least consistent out of that bunch. But, GPP's upside is there. But again, if he's 18% owned,
there's a chance he misses the cut.
The very sharp fade could be the very sharp fade in that range. I do not hate that Statfish play at all.
Yeah. So
even though I like him, and I bet him.
I agree. I just bet him like this week. So I understand where the upside is, but again, when there's ownership coming in on somebody, you also have to remember how safe is that ownership. If this is coming in on Russell Henley or Xander Schauffele, this kind of ownership that we could project at $7,800, yeah, maybe. I could also be completely wrong about his ownership. But, he's played really 4 good rounds of golf now, including whatever. So, Statfish of the week, Wyndham Clark, $7,800. We'll see what happens there. You will see Patrick Reed or Russell Henley in like every other lineup of mine. One of them will be in every other lineup for sure. Potentially in the same lineups, like non-stop.
Yeah, I love Reed and I love Spawn.
Yeah.
Those are for cash. Those are the 2 that I'm probably going to stick with when it comes to cash. I could move to Burns. I could move up to Hideki with Spawn, and I could move up from Reed to Henley. But I think I want to keep Reed. I think I'm going to keep Spawn. Spawn's been hot, right? He's been playing well. You saw what he did last year at the U.S. Open. He's again another that accurate guy, but his long irons are actually pretty fucking good compared to Bobby Mack. He has that grinder mentality. I'm a fan of Spawn this week. Those are the 2 that fill out the rest of my cash lineup. And the last spot on my cash lineup, my final cash game cornerstone, is going to be Harris English. And he is at $6,700. We talked about him, his major prowess here recently. He makes a lot of cuts on regular tour events. He makes almost all of his cuts at majors here recently. I think he's made 8 straight cuts in a row at the U.S. Open, right? I think the last one he didn't play in the Shinnecock. I don't know why, but he didn't. But he just makes all the cuts. He has upside. He has 2 runner-ups at majors just last year. Very easy click for my final cash game cornerstone and my cheapest guy in my lineup. And honestly, in cash, again, 6 of 6 is king, right? And if you look at all these guys, they make a lot of cuts and they have the upside because one of these guys is probably going to fuck up.
Yeah.
I'm just going to be honest, right?
Yeah, it's golf.
You throw Reed in there and you throw Spawn in there. One of those guys, hopefully just one. Okay. But it's possible 2 or 3, right? Of these guys. That's how these US Opens play out. Okay. Now, the thing is, if you have the upside still on these guys, which I think all of these guys have the upside. I think even on this list that you see right now, you include Reed, you include Spawn. I think all of them can win. Like I'm probably thinking about betting every single one of these guys, or have already bet every single one of these guys. Byron, I know bet Hatton. I know he bet English. I bet Fitzy. Right,
I've got a top 20 on Fitzy as well.
Yeah, you bet Reed. Right. Yeah. I'm thinking about Spawn. Right. Like these guys can make it up top. So you have this cash lineup, and the lowest price guy is English. When it comes to the lowest price guy in cash, the way I go about it is I just want him to make a cut. Now we're getting the best of both worlds. Yeah. We got a guy who makes 95% of his cuts. Plus, he has 2 runner-ups in majors last year.
Yeah,
he's got the upside.
It's insane. The pricing it's weird. That is a crazy price.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Those are my cash game cornerstones for this week. Other guys I do like in the 6K range. I'm gonna go with Aaron Rydog. Again, you fucked me a little bit last week. But whatever. He's still 12th in my model. Accurate off the tee, iron game, great. Doesn't make the huge numbers that often. I like Maverick McNeely. He came up on your list in Byron's boxes a couple of times. The short game at majors, like you said, has been very, very strong. I'm a fan of him. His around the green play is really stellar. So give me a little bit of him. I lost my place. Why don't you go for a couple?
I'm gonna just jump back to the sevens at 7,000 flat with Ben Griffin, who had a 14th place at the 2026 PGA Championship, an 8th and a 10th at the 2025 US Open and PGA Championship as well. So we've got those 2 really solid finishes. Ben Griffin has kind of lost the irons a little bit this year, but what he's maintained is chipping and putting like a beast. He's so damn good at short game, and he's good in short game in majors. That's documented here on the screen. And he's also great in hellish conditions. When conditions get difficult at Memorial, he finished second to Scotty Scheffler last year. So he, at $7,000 flat, can absolutely provide you with a top 10. And he could be sneaky because he hasn't necessarily been playing the greatest, but he definitely does do some good work when it comes to the short game department. Cameron Smith at $6,900. I'm going to monitor the ownership. I think I'm more than enough exposed in the betting placement places. We'll see how ownership he comes in. I think Christopher Wrighton's interesting. Minwoo Lee, another short game wizard. Can he just chip a couple in, kind of have a spike week around the greens? The opportunity is going to be there for him to just do that nonstop. I don't know what he's going to get up to. It's been probably pretty poor, the last little while. We do have a solid finish at the PGA Championship in majors for old Minwoo. Mav is, again, $6,800, and your worst finish in the last 6 majors is 37th. Yes, your best finish is 18th. Again, you're going to go to a golf course that allows you just around the green to death. So he's cool. Jason Day and Ricky Fowler both solid around the greens in majors as well at $6,700. Other names, Alex Noren, Keegan Bradley, and Sung Jae Im at $6,400 area. Yeah. Keegan Bradley in the Northeast at a golf course that you have to chip your face off. Keegan Bradley's around the green game has got remarkably better in the last little while.
I like Keegan too.
Actually, yeah, he's cheap. He's emotionally charged when you go to Northeast. I love that. Alex Noren has been playing great in majors as well, and just let me down badly at the RBC. I'm not worried about that. Hellish conditions, chipping and putting. Give me Alex Noren. Sung Jae Im, again, one of the better chippers around the PGA Tour. We're going to get multiple opportunities for him with how bad he hits his irons. So we'll see what happens there. Max Griesemann at $6,100 again with that short game in the majors is going to be someone I'm going to leverage pretty hard.
I think Griesemann could be the 3% owned guy or less, 2% owned or less. And what you spoke about on that stat about him and short game in majors,
we'll see.
Pretty impressive stuff.
We could look
right there. That could be the sneaky sneak of the week right there.
The sneaky pinky. All right. So Max Griesemann is the sneaky pinky of the week. Kenny Kim in the 5,000s, in the 6,000s. We kind of drifting here. Any names you're in the mood for?
Putnam in his short game is someone that I'll take a peek at. I know he hurt people last week, but whatever. He's really good on and around the greens. What about ADDC? Mm-hmm. Like, when did he become like the best short game guy in the tour? Like, when did this happen? I had no idea about this, and I looked through his ranking. He's first in this field.
Yeah.
In the last 24 rounds, and I'm not talking about 24 total rounds. I'm talking about 24 total rounds that each individual golfer has played. Yeah. Right? And he is number one in this field in strokes gained around the green. I had no clue. He's on my radar now.
Yeah. It's insane, you know?
First round leader?
Yes, he's a round one guy. I had him on my first round leader card last week. I think it's an absolute yes. And it probably, 300 to 1? 250, like whatever he's going to be.
It's going to be some insane number.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't even know if they do each weight for first round leader. That's I never bet first round leader. I never
ADDC.
Rarely ever.
Let's go. ADHD for the win. I'm in on him. Griot at $5,800. Emiliano Griot starting to come in with some good form lately. He's been playing better in some majors. I think this is one of the venues, kind of like Nico Echeverria-esque. Doesn't have the length, but has the pop. I think Patrick Harrington, people, also sneaky good around the green player. If you take a look at what he's been up to.
Why are we so in tune? Patty was going to be my pick, and if there was a senior bet, like top senior,
yes.
I don't bet props, right? So I don't even know if these bets are like real. But I've heard top senior before. Yeah. Give me Patty.
Dude, he just finished at the PGA Championship? He finished 18th at the PGA Championship. 22nd at the 2024 Open Championship. He pops. He's $5,500. Producer Mike was wondering who these guys are in the 5K range. We are giving you some names. I went in and I've highlighted everyone here with yellow is someone I'm probably going to be interested in. This Hugo Coussard guy is Hal's Anus special victim number one. He loves that kind of situation. If you go take a look at this Devil's Anus, he's well up there if you take a look at that. Putnam, yes, we're in on Putnam. Any other things we're going with here? I'm losing my place. I'm losing momentum.
Yeah, right now, ADDC 150 to 1. You can get him with 5 places
for first round leader.
150 to 1 for first round leader, and you can get up to 5 places for him.
Jimmy Stanger is a short game guy. We just saw him make almost 200 feet of putts last week at the RBC Canadian. You never know what happens with him. Miles Russell, I'm going to take a gamble on. He's an extremely talented golfer. I don't think he's got the distance that we're looking for. This golf course maybe allows him a chance to do that thing.
Not priced yet.
Yes.
JT Poston. Coming off, the guy, when he gets hot. He gets he gets accurate off the tee. He's confident. He'll probably be low 6,000.
Yep. Cooper Dossie, popping pretty nicely for hellish conditions. He's a $5,200 option. If you're spamming Scotty Scheffler lineups in there, sprinkle him in 1 or 2. He's probably going to miss the cut. Let's be honest here, but maybe he doesn't and changes your life forever. You are welcome. So clip that. Any other names I highlighted here? No. So yeah, I think these are some interesting names to be found. Kevin Roy chips quite nicely as well. If you're looking for a short game guy at $5,700, we'll see what happens there. In the one and done streets, Kenny, 2 hours into the show, we appreciate all of you guys. You guys rock. We've enjoyed doing this as much as hopefully you guys have enjoyed listening. So hit the like, hit the subscribe, wherever you're listening. Tell your aunties and uncles, and hit us up in the comments. Anything in there, negative, positive, we'll take it. It gets the algorithm going, ideally positive. And also let us know who's going to win this week for a free month in the Model Maniac Patreon. Kenny, get us the one and dones people are looking for this week.
One and done. Hatton, Fitz, Reed, Henley, something like
John
that.
Rahm. Simple, done, easy peasy for me. Not betting him. Love the consistency. He's a live guy. I've used Scotty. I've used Rory already.
I've already used Rahm, I think.
Maybe I might use Xander at the Open. I'm waiting for him to start really firing up, because I want to use Xander at a major. that's just how I've waited for him, because it's just the best use of him, I think. I don't know if he's got it right now for this week, so I'm going John Rahm instead. I'll use Xander at the Open there. All righty. Anything else you have to add, Kenny? Shout out Ann Paula looking after Piper for way longer than I expected this afternoon, because we are giving you guys exactly what you need here on Fantasy Golf Degenerates. Please, make sure that you tell everybody that you know about the show. We'd love to have your eyeballs and eardrums on this. You can catch me at The Model Maniac on X. You can find all my stuff at The Model Maniac Patreon. Link in the description below with the promo code for you guys there. Use code FGD when signing up for your first time deposit at DraftKings. I'll be doing some parlays and things for you guys over there. Some of the best prices are out there on DraftKings as well this week. So go do all of that stuff. We really appreciate every single one of you. Kenny Kim, get us the hell out of here, my brother.
Shout out to Byron, because I totally forgot he told me he had to leave by 7. And it's 7:50.
And Paula's a rock star. It's okay. I'm saying it really loud so she can hear
my
me.
bad, baby. My bad. I totally forgot about that. I apologize. You can find me on X at KendoVT. Make sure I'll have my final betting card there. Any live bets, some cool information, whatever you need. It's US Open week. It's going to be carnage. It's going to be a lot of fun. Let's win some motherfucking money. DGen Nation.
I've been getting dirty money, Jordan Belfort. Stacking penny stocks while I'm flipping these birds. Sipping on Ciroc, trip 'em up with the words.